Welcome, everyone. We are the Uneducated Gamers podcast presented by GalaxyGameTV.com. And in today's episode, we will check in on some recent game news and dive into the growing population of video game-based TV shows while asking ourselves, do we need them? And as always, we will provide some of our most uneducated thoughts. But first, Mike, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Good and you?
Not bad. Your background and people on the podcast obviously can't see your background, but your background, even though I just had dinner not so long ago, is making me hungry.
I've been wanting to get this image as a playmat. I need to finally pull the trigger on that.
We should make that happen. We should make that as a podcast playmat and let people buy it.
The food one?
Yeah, why not?
The only reason I wouldn't do that is because I don't own the image. I don't know who the rights holder would be for that.
Well, let's make one of our own.
All right, we'll do a fried food collage and
yeah. I mean,
I'm fucking down. Let's do it.
Because I'm gonna come out there pretty soon, right? We're gonna go do a Magic event together, right? Or at least not together, but at the same event. And I'm gonna be crashing at your place or whatever. By the way, maybe we don't. Let's not do a drunken episode. No, but
that's the last thing people need to hear out of me.
Maybe we try to order a bunch of food and take some picture, and then we eat the food afterwards, huh? Maybe
for context, because people can't see this, my Zoom background image is a bunch of French fries, cheeseburgers, and hot dogs all in a collage.
Yeah, it looks very yummy. But you know what's the funny part is I bet you that's not all like live food piled on each other.
No,
it looks like it's probably just all food like photoshopped together. But I think it's more fun to actually create the collage.
Yeah, if we made our own collage so that we knew we weren't screwing anybody over for image rights, I would absolutely support this as a GGTV official playmat.
That would be awesome. Let's see if we.
Wait, we're a video game podcast. Official mouse pad.
Yeah, or desk mat.
Desk mat. Oh my god, the fried food desk mat. Holy shit, Ralph Zarek. Oh man. All right, we got to make this happen.
All right, we will. But before that, we have a podcast recorded, and to start us all off, we have received quite a few interesting announcements that I think a lot of us were hoping we were going to get in the near future. One that we got was basically a new trailer. But let's start with the newest and the latest, greatest release that we just got for Konami, and that's Silent Hill 2 Remake is officially happening.
I'm very excited, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are very apprehensive given how the last one went.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like the first Silent Hill was a little disappointing. But this one is first and foremost, they've spent a lot of time on this. Apparently this has been in development since 2019, which, 3 years, that means they've had a really good amount of time to build, off of what, as we can all see, is the Unreal Engine. Hopefully it's Unreal 5, but I doubt it since this has been in development of 2019, it's likely going to be Unreal 4, but still, that should be fine. There are potential leaks and rumors that they're currently in the finishing stage of the game. And this is not, even though we didn't get a release date with the trailer, there's kind of this murmuring that we're getting it potentially either holiday 2022, which I think is a little early. What I think is more likely is the first quarter of 2023, which I still think would be great. But we still don't have a release date, but that's okay. I think the one thing that's interesting though is obviously they're saying a PS5 1 year exclusive release, which is okay, fine.
Fair enough.
But it is also going to get a PC release in conjunction with that, which I think for PC users that's going to be a great thing. So
Is Sony the only holdout for timed console exclusives?
no, Xbox is still one. They still
Well, Microsoft's got Game Pass though, right? So don't they just release on Game Pass right away, or no?
Some of them do, yeah, but that's still they do have timed exclusives that are either Game Pass or Xbox related.
I guess it wouldn't be on Steam if it was on Game Pass necessarily.
Right.
That makes sense.
Eventually they do come out, but Xbox does have those timed release exclusives. But again, I mean, and we've talked about time release exclusive on this podcast and ad nauseum, because I think we're all in agreement that they're not great, but they're necessity to a certain extent to the business, right? The gaming business, so to speak. But ultimately, though, like I know, Mike, we chatted ahead of time of this. You've never played Silent Hill 2.
I have not. I'm pretty decently familiar with it because I found it intriguing as a concept, and I went and watched a bunch of Let's Plays and a bunch of breakdowns of it. So, like, I think the game looks absolutely fantastic. Right par for the course for what I want in a horror game, but I've never actually played it myself. So I'm really excited for this remake. It'll be my first experience personally of the franchise.
Oh, so like you're saying the entire franchise you have never played.
That's right. I was too young for horror games when it first came out. And then as I've expressed before, I went through a period of time where I just couldn't have the time or the money to play video games. And so I'm only recently getting back into that. So Silent Hill it's been on my list, and this is going to be my foray into it. Super stoked.
I would almost encourage you to, if you're up for the task and up for the challenge, is to go on like GOG, or I even think it's on Steam. Why not like pick up Silent Hill 2 to see what it is, what it has been, right? Like with this game, what is this game? Like, what's the excitement about? And then I'd be very interested to hear your comparisons with the new one that comes out.
I really should. I mean, like I said, I've done enough research and Let's Plays. As close as you can get to playing the game without playing the game, I've done with Silent Hill 2 because I'm fascinated by it.
Got it.
Which is not the same, but I think I have enough to draw to compare on.
Mm-hmm.
In a similar vein, a little bit non sequitur, I recently played through the I don't know if I talked about this yet. There was an anniversary remaster of the original Tomb Raider game.
Oh yeah.
That got ported to Steam. I played through the whole thing on Twitch, and my God, was it awful. It was terrible. It was buggy as shit. It added stuff and took away stuff from the game. Man, I hated it. I don't remember. I loved original Tomb Raider for the PlayStation. Loved that game.
Agreed.
I remember it being so much better than what this anniversary was. I don't know if that's nostalgia glasses or what.
So I had a similar reaction about 5 or so years ago on the anniversary edition of Tomb Raider. And I didn't enjoy it. And I was like, how did I like this game previously? Because I was just like, what?
It was just better before, right?
What is this nonsense? And then I played the original. I actually dug out my old disc, the first Tomb Raider disc. For those on the podcast who don't know what a disc is, no, I'm kidding.
Oh my God, we're not doing this again. We're not actually that old. There's no way our demographic doesn't know what a fucking disc is.
I'm just kidding. But where are the CD-ROMs for computers today? I mean, like, so there's that. But anyways, I digress. So I actually did plug that, and I'll be honest, the PC version of the game, the original, is way better than the anniversary edition that came out. in my opinion. It still plays better. It's not glitchy. It's not. It doesn't suffer with some weird tearing nonsense. Now, the camera still sucks on the original, but
Yeah, but it was what, 92?
Right.
I'll forgive that.
Yeah. But I mean, ultimately, the game, in my opinion, the OG game is still better, and I'll still play it. When I got
there
the
was
Odin,
at least 2 or 3 episodes in a row when I was doing the Twitch stream for that, where I said the line, "I'm straight up not having a good time," but I was insistent on following it through.
Oh man. But so for Silent Hill 2, okay, so you're coming into this franchise new, even though you've gone through and seen a lot of plays, footage and such. What are some of your sort of aspirations of coming out of what this remake could be? Like, what are you looking for? What are some things that you're specifically poking at?
I need them really badly to make sure that they do it proper as an atmospheric puzzle game and not try to turn it into a generic shooter. Because I'm a little bit worried they're going to do that. That's not exactly what they did with the last remake, but a little. And with the remake climate today, so many games get ruined by that. Nobody makes puzzle games anymore. I don't know if anyone knows how to make puzzle games anymore, but that's what Silent Hill was. It and Resident Evil were kind of trying to do the same thing.
Right.
And it just needs to be a really well-made atmospheric puzzle game. Atmosphere being the key thing, because that's what set Silent Hill apart.
Yeah. So, and actually, I just found this as we were talking. It looks like Silent Hill 2 is actually going to be. Oh, no, never mind. This is a concept. I got sucked in by the internet, Mike. I got sucked in. So, but I don't think we know for sure. But like this person put together a kind of concept of Silent Hill on RE5 on Unreal 5. And if it's anything like this, like if it's anything of this caliber of quality, this is what I'm looking for. And to kind of describe it is this, to your point, like this atmospheric puzzle horror, like dark thing, right? Like it really needs to stand out in a horror genre, in my opinion, is very lacking. Outside of the most recent Resident Evil remakes, the horror genre has been severely lacking.
Every video game tries to these days anyway, tries really hard to play into that power fantasy. And the horror as a genre is the opposite of that. It's supposed to frighten you by taking agency away, and the original Silent Hill did that really, really well. To the point where you like the fog effects, which, developer reasons of putting in fog is because the draw distance sucks and they don't have enough money to make a full fleshed out map. But it's fine because it's the best atmospheric part of the game and it's scary as shit.
Right. Yeah, no,
that was the big complaint with the last time they tried to do a remake, right?
Oh,
they're like, we didn't add any fog. We didn't understand why we had to, and then it looked awful.
Yeah, it was the worst. Like, I really do hope that they learned, they had some lessons learned with that first time out, because and they decide to what I'm hoping what happens is Silent Hill 2 remake becomes a blockbuster hit for them. And then they go back and they say, let's remaster Silent Hill 1 with the, kind of like using a lot of the assets and what they built with Silent Hill 2 remake to make the fans happy. Because I can tell you, I'd rather play the original Silent Hill over the remaster any day of the week, because the remaster is just absolutely horrible.
If it's anything like the Tomb Raider anniversary. Wow, was that awful?
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I think more to come on that. We'll see if we get that announcement at the Game Awards. So we have the Game Awards coming in November, so it's possible that we get an announcement that it's coming this holiday. I think Game Awards is this November. I can't remember. Um or do we see a 2023 release? Either way, though, I don't think it matters. I personally have enough games to last me until this comes out. But I'm really, really excited about it. The next one that I didn't even know what I'm like, this is one that you told me about that I was like, wait, what? Like, I didn't even realize this would be getting a remaster ever. And that's Age of Mythology.
I'm stoked about that. I played a lot of Age of Mythology back in the day.
Yeah, I mean between Age of Mythology and which is that one, Age of Empires.
Mhm.
Like those two games were probably the best from an RTS perspective during that time. And Age of Mythology retold, they're saying that it's coming soon to PC Game Pass. So I'm guessing this is going to be a PC game only, which makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever put on any other platform, and RTSs are hard to do with a controller anyway. I mean, Halo Wars, I guess, figured out how to do it, but
Who plays Halo Wars?
I enjoyed Halo Wars.
I'm just messing around.
It's an RTS.
I don't enjoy RTSs with a controller. I never have.
No, it's clunky UI. It's just not built for it.
Yeah, like I've played Halo Wars and it's okay. I mean, it's fine. There's a Tom Clancy game called End War.
Oh, I haven't played that.
And so that's an RTS that is on, like, I think it was originally PlayStation and then it came out on Xbox. That was really good. I really enjoyed that. Like I liked the kind of like, owning a fleet and owning, like having, real-time strategy in a war zone kind of thing. It's pretty cool. But it's not super fun to play on a controller.
No, I imagine not.
So no, I'm of that same fabric that I definitely prefer RTSs on like mouse and keyboard.
Lego Rock Raiders,
What?
best RTS of all time.
I know, I've never heard of this.
Lego Rock Raiders. I think it's lost to time and rights holder hell. Uh, I've tried to find less than legitimate copies of it so I could play it again. I mean, it's definitely for a young audience, but man, was it fun.
I'm looking at video of this now.
You were a mining community, lost in space because your ship got hit by an asteroid, and you had to like mine resources from the planets to repair your ship and get back home. And it was just a series of pre-built levels, and you had to like fight monsters that would come out of the caverns, and you had to build like your ore refineries and things like that. It was neat. It was really ambitious for a Lego game. And I loved it. I loved that game. 8-year-old me jammed hard to Lego Rock Raiders.
I am going to have to I'm going to have to try to find this game. This looks pretty. Where was this game? When I never heard of this game, but I want to try it now.
There was they had a gimmick where so you control the people, and a lot of them had like mining vehicles, right? And you tell them go mine these rocks over here. But they had a gimmick that didn't really add anything to game other than it was fun, where you could take control of any specific character on screen and like get like a first person view. So you could be riding around in this first person view truck with a big ass drill on the front, just through these rock walls.
So it was like an RTS with the RPG element. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, there were no. Was not an RPG.
I had to throw that in there.
Oh boy.
No, but no, this looks really cool. So like to me though, like I look at this and don't make fun of me for saying this because I know you're going to anyways, but this is like StarCraft meets Lego.
That was their intent. I don't know if StarCraft, what year did that come out? It might have come out after this because this was 99,
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, they saw the success of things like Age of Empires, and Lego was like, fuck it, throw it at the wall, see what sticks. Because that was the part of Lego's business years where they were literally trying really hard to stay in business. And they had a bunch of different video game ideas, and none of them really took. But I enjoyed this one. I also enjoyed the what was the really shitty racing game that was like almost an idle game.
Are you talking about rock and roll racing on the Genesis?
No, no, it
Oh.
was I mean it might have been on the Genesis, but I had it on PC. It was another Lego.
Oh, it was a Lego racing
It was
game.
a Lego racing game where you got to like build a character and like construct a race car, and you had to go through all these boss races. It was not a really involved game. A lot of it, like I said, was kind of idle, but it was fun for a really early Lego game for a 10-year-old, as was Rock Raider. Rock Raider was a much better game than the racing game that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I'm like taking a look. Wow, there's a this is like a this was like a very big. Oh, so Rock Raiders was also like a themed set of Lego. So they kind of paired it with both not only a real set of Lego, but it was a game as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
they had sets for it. I never had any of the Lego sets, but it was cool.
wow. So this was yeah, this is interesting. This was data design. Good old data design. DDI. Cool. Now I'll have to check this out. I'll put this on my list and I'm really curious about that. So that's some nostalgia for you. Speaking of nostalgia, we've been getting a lot of these Resident Evil remakes lately. I know we got a announcement for Resident Evil 4, but we got a new trailer for Resident Evil 4 remake, as well as the release date, March 24th, 2023.
How many times does this make it that they've remade Resident Evil 4?
I think this is the third time, if I'm not mistaken. One of them, though, I mean, was VR, right?
Fair
So
enough.
I don't know if that
It's more of a
actually,
port than a
yeah,
remake.
yeah. I don't know if that really counts. Resident Evil 4, I think originally was the first release was on GameCube, right? Yeah. So the original release of Resident Evil 4 was on the GameCube, which was that game was incredible. It follows Leon Kennedy, which is probably one of my favorite characters next to Chris. What is his name? Chris. I can't remember.
Kringle?
Yeah, Chris Kringle. Chris Kringle was in Resident Evil.
I'd play that game. One foot in front of the other. That's the wrong special.
That's 1 foot in front of it. Isn't that the
It's where they have
snow miser?
Yeah.
That's the bee's knees, man. I try to get my kids to watch that and they're just not into it. I'm like, why can't you not be into this?
Well, sometimes you just gotta make them because it's an important cultural art piece.
So you're saying I should strap my kids to the couch?
I'll do it if you don't want to. Who is this midget and why is he taping me to the couch? Mom, shut up and watch the claymation.
Okay. So there's actually been no remaster of Resident Evil 4. They've all been ports. So
Really?
the original version was the GameCube version, like I thought. The first port was it was ported to the PS2, and then there was a PC port, and then there was a Resident Evil 4 edition, Wii edition that came out for the Wii, and then there was a mobile edition. Here we go. On March 23rd, 2011, high definition remaster versions of both Resident Evil Code Veronica and Resident Evil 4 were announced for development. But it looks like it never. Oh no, yeah. Then Resident Evil 4 will be released in 2011. Resident Evil 4 Ultimate HD Edition for Windows came out in 2014. And then it was re-released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in 2016. So a majority of these have been ports.
Okay. I guess that's why I felt like they remade it a bunch of times, just because they just ported it to a bunch of consoles. But
yeah. And then, of course, the aforementioned VR version that came out on the Oculus. And then Resident Evil 4 was also published on Nintendo Switch in 2019. So a lot of ports, but no like true remake. They did that PC HD remaster edition, but that was about it. So, oh yeah, so this version runs on Unreal Engine 4. Okay. And that was the VR version. And then they created the RE engine, which that's where Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 have been made, which have been fantastic. So I don't know. I mean, do you get into the Resident Evil series at all?
I haven't. Again, the early games, which were the good ones, were before my time.
Mm-hmm.
And all the later ones were kind of just espoused as pretty bad for the most part. So I never really bothered. I had friends who really, really liked the series, but I'd never really taken the time to pick it up.
I think the probably the best version to play is the PS2 version. I know I really like the GameCube version. I own it as well.
Of Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, yeah. But I think the port that they did for PS2 was probably by far the best version because they fixed a lot of the stuff that they couldn't do with the GameCube at that time.
Sure. I mean, I really respect Resident Evil 4 for changing the landscape of gaming. Because that was the game that invented the third-person shooter, effectively, right? Yeah. I've played Gears of War 1 and 2. Both of those were fantastic, and those wouldn't exist without Resident Evil 4. So, as a historical piece, I absolutely respect it. Only played bits and pieces of a couple of levels because friends had it.
Yeah.
Didn't super enjoy it. I found the controls really clunky, personally, because it's third-person shooter, but it's still kind of tank controls, right?
Yes. And like the historical fact on that, right, is because it was originally designed with the GameCube controller. And porting controls, like they then had two analog sticks. They just didn't know what to. Well, I don't know. I'm pontificating on this, but they probably just didn't know what to do.
You're right. Yeah. Again, early game, you can't fault them for not having all that, thought out, especially when they pioneered a genre.
Right.
But I went back to try to play it after I had played Gears of War, and it just like, I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. Like like Resident Evil 4 was not originally created with two analog sticks in mind. I think what they did with the PS2 was fine. I think the game was well ported. I do actually enjoy the control scheme much better on the GameCube because that's where it was naturally designed, right?
Absolutely.
It's like
And had I played it on a PlayStation, so had I played it
yeah.
on a GameCube, my opinion might be different.
Yeah, and same thing with things like Metroid Prime, right? Like I played Prime with the dual analog sticks today, and I'll tell you, it's a very unnatural comparative to how the game was originally designed on the GameCube and playing it. It there's a certain when you talk about remapping controls, when you talk about remapping controls, I the old way of playing making video games certainly didn't translate with these different control schemes that didn't match.
Yeah.
So, but I think now just about every controller is dual analogue sticks, which I think makes a lot of these ports just more seamless these days.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty standard, I think.
Yeah.
Even for Nintendo Switch, like they have dual analog controllers.
Yeah.
So, maybe I'll pick up the remake and give it a try with an updated control scheme.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny too because I still have my GameCube out there, like the real GameCube, not just the playing GameCube on the Wii. And I'll slap that thing together once in a while, and I'll play things like Metroid Prime and play Resident Evil 4 because I mean those are some of the linchpins of that console generation of
absolutely.
All right, well, moving on. Video game TV shows. So I came across this whole thought because when I was like when I heard about the Fallout TV show, and I think we had a Discord chat with our group on this, our GGTV team here, all three of us. We started talking about Fallout TV show and kind of seeing what's going on there. And I really started thinking, I'm like, why do we need all of these like TV shows based on video games, right? Like, why is there all of a sudden we have these things cropping up, right? Things like, I mean, we have Fallout, Alan Wake, crazy enough, Child of Light, like that's becoming
I don't even know what that is.
Child of Light is a very popular indie game. Mass Effect, Twisted Metal, and then
Twisted Metal is getting it.
Yeah.
Wow. In fairness, I think they fleshed that story out over the course of several games.
Sure.
Long after I stopped paying attention to it.
Pretty soon we're gonna get The Last of Us and HBO. That's currently being promoted.
I'm not surprised.
And then Life is Strange is another game that's getting a TV show.
I think that works.
Yeah, I mean,
probably works better as a TV show than as a game, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the game is built to be a story in itself, right?
It's kind of a visual novel.
Yeah. But just to run down like some of these other ones, like and I'm just gonna quickly bullet point and throw these out here, and then we can kind of just come back to this. But there's things like Tekken, Shenmue, Watch Dogs, A Plague's Tale, Brother in Arms, Disco Elysium, Fallout, as I talked about. Final Fantasy is going to be coming out with another one. God of War, Horizon. So like Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon 2074 is supposed to be getting a TV show. My friend Pedro, like what? Who asked for that?
Wait, is that a video game based on Napoleon Dynamite?
No. Well, maybe. I don't think so. No. It's look it up. It's a very interesting thing. There's an untitled new Pokemon series that's being developed, but we have a lot of Pokemon TV shows, so maybe that's
Yeah,
not.
that's not even a thing. Pokemon is a TV show first.
Yeah. Skull and Bones, a new Sonic the Hedgehog show. Um,
Also
uh,
not uncommon. Sonic the Hedgehog is in a bunch of shows.
yeah. Twisted Metal and Vampire, right? Like that's a lot of freaking TV shows based on video games, man. Like, where is this all coming from?
It's coming from the fact that Hollywood is recognizing, and it has kind of recognized for a while, but it's more apparent now that video games have become the cultural monolith that they have. Anyone Gen X and newer, it basically has some amount of video game linguistics in their vocabulary.
But okay, but let's just take a step back here for a second, right? Like historically speaking, and let's now bring in the fold not just TV, but video, like movies based on video games, right? Like there's the Super Mario Brothers, right? Or Mario Brothers or whatever it is. Like historically, video game movies or TV shows that are based on video games have historically not been money makers. In fact, they've been destroyers of the IP in some cases. Right?
Yeah, it's a very difficult medium. Video games are a very difficult artistic medium to transfer out of. Much easier to transfer into because you can take an existing story and make it interactive, but it's hard to take an interactive story and translate it to a non-interactive medium, I think.
Especially when we talk about, and I can understand things like so I actually Last of Us is not a surprise to me. In fact, I'm actually surprised that it took this long to get a Last of Us series. Just because in how story based the game really is, or things like Life is Strange. But Mass Effect, I love the Mass Effect series outside of Andromeda, but I love 1, 2, and 3. Right? Mass Effect is probably will go down in history as probably one of my top 10 games series of all time. But I don't need a TV show for Mass Effect because I didn't play Mass Effect mostly for the story. I played it for the interaction that you have in the game, the RPG elements, right?
Yes, yes.
So how do they translate an RPG to a TV show?
In some ways, I think a character-driven RPG like Mass Effect has the most chance of succeeding.
Really?
Because I think the thing that video game that translating a story out of a video game tends to trip over is that because it's interactive, video games tend toward action as a main way of engaging with the player, which movies can't always do, at least not to the same degree. You can't watch a movie that's just 6 straight hours of action.
Right.
It just doesn't work. But you can do that in a video game. Like if you're playing Halo 3, it's just straight action start to finish with a few cinematics sprinkled in. It's hard to translate that to a movie because it's not interactive. Like you're not spending 2 hours on the same scene trying to kill a boss. They're going to tell that story in about 5 minutes and the experience is lost just because of the way it is.
Yeah.
When you have something like Mass Effect and to a lesser degree Fallout, which is far more character based and story woven, I think it's going to be easier to bring that to a medium that doesn't have interactivity as a way of lengthening the work. On the other side of that, because Mass Effect is so open to player interpretation because of its RPG nature, and similarly with Fallout, but maybe less so, they're going to have to commit to a particular narrative in that, which might be shocking to the audience.
Yeah, because I mean, although I mean, I guess if they focus strictly on the stories of the vault, and so maybe the thought there would be, and now that you say that, and kind of we think about it from like peeling back some of the layers of that onion on that particular IP and meaning Fallout, is what if, right, we get more of that story of the vault front in the front half as understanding what, because when we play Fallout, right, we learn about the vault as an intro to then coming out of the vault, right? So then you have to piece everything together after the fact.
Right.
Whereas I wonder then, and maybe this is where you're going and you tell me if I'm wrong, but maybe the focus is inverted back to your point of them following a specific narrative, but that narrative is everything that happens within the vault of starting in going into the vault and everything that transpires through it.
You could do something with that.
Almost like Event Horizon in a way.
I'll show you a real tunnel snake, Amada.
But that also then takes us back to like, what like Fallout 3 was, because Fallout 3 really focused in on what was going on inside these vaults before you jettison out of the vaults, right?
There was a lot of drama. You were kind of an established character, and there was a lot of drama going on in the vault for sure. Unlike New Vegas, which was you have a vague idea of what you were doing right up until you got shot, and then you're a blank slate.
Right. So maybe if they take that angle, maybe that does work.
You could do a self-contained vault drama. You only have to have about 10 or 15 characters total, and only maybe 5 of those need to have names even. And just do a contained drama. I think you could do that. The problem comes when you leave the vault. What do you do? Because that's when it starts to become, okay, you're exploring these people and these factions and their stories, and you have to make narrative decisions along the way and experience the consequences of those narrative decisions.
Yeah.
And the game leaves that open for you to do on your own, but a TV show would have to pick something and then show the consequence of it. And then by that point, the show is saying, it would be forcing a narrative and forcing a message on you in places where that's not always done in the game. And I think that's where RPGs fall flat when they're translated.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that their reliance on narrative rather than action would technically make them easier to shoot around.
You know what would be really cool, and I don't think this is what they would do because I think it would be very expensive to pull off. But I think what would be really freaking cool is with Fallout is, and I'm not gonna lead into. So I've written a TV series that has almost been made. And one of the things that we did was we designed the story narrative around the fictional construct of what we're called, what Chicago is, right?
Yeah.
And Chicago is divided up into multiple districts, right? So one of the things you could do, right, is like these vaults, a season can focus on a particular vault, and each season you bounce to a different vault. But then as the story develops, you then interwove their characters, their story, where they cross paths, right?
Yeah.
So then you kind of make that interest of, well, yeah, we're going to take you outside of the vault, but maybe that's only like maybe the last 2 or 3 episodes. And then the next season hits and you start with a different vault, but then you're like, interwoving the exterior world as the universe where the vaults are your isolated drama.
Sure. I could get behind that as long as we get a 20 episode season all about Vault 108. Gary, Gary, Gary. That's the only lines.
What about Vault 1? Where's Vault 1? We've never heard about Vault 1, have we? Like ever?
Well, there's a page on the wiki for it.
Really?
Vault 1 is one of the Vault series of Fallout shelters developed by the Vault Tech Corporation, located somewhere in the Great Midwest Commonwealth. The Vault's role in the experiment is unknown. Vault 1 was constructed nearby a Midwestern city. Seems to have been the first Vault commissioned by Vault Tech's Project Safe House. Following the wild success, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, there's not really, I mean, it exists and there's record of it, but no one has anything to say about it.
We need to go to Vault 1. I mean, I think that if anything, right? If anything is going to hook, I think people that enjoy the Fallout series, that's not Fallout 4 or Fallout 76. But no, people who enjoy the Fallout series itself, like playing into that historical, how did this all start? What is Vault 1 and what went so wrong that now we're at Vault 100 something or another? How did this all come about? Because I think as again, a fan of the game, we know the isolated story from all these different aspects of the construct that we're given, but we know bits and pieces of the originals, like what has led us here. But some of that stuff is pretty cagey from like Vault 1 until I think Vault Vault 40 or 50 or something like that.
See, what happened was nobody ever invented the transistor and Jimi Hendrix was never born. That's how we got Fallout.
I love it. Okay, so all right, so Fallout, I mean, I think if they do it right, I guess it could be it could be good. But I think
what Fallout has going for it, and let me qualify this by saying I have zero faith that they'll do it right. But what Fallout has going for it is that you don't have to choose any established character.
Right.
You can pick any number of the vaults that's never been fleshed out. You can do drama within the vault. You can make them come out of the vault and interact with, like, there's going to be factions, right? The NCR is going to be a faction. The super mutants are going to be a faction. But you don't have to choose any named characters therein. You can just make shit up and it works. It's the apocalypse and it's a wacky apocalypse. Anything could happen, right? So other than choosing a already named fleshed out character and doing him dirty, they kind of can get away with whatever they want because the established lore for Fallout is meant to be malleable.
Fair enough. That's fair. Yeah.
That's what it has going for it.
Okay. So on the adverse, Mass Effect has, or at least historically, Mass Effect has character associated with the story.
I think Mass Effect, they're going to struggle harder because the way that BioWare wrote their game is all of the players got really, really attached to the named characters. So if you're going to do a Mass Effect show, you have to include or at least cameo those characters somehow. And that's where you start to run into issues. Because if you do that character even slightly dirty, the lore nerds are going to come out of the woodworks and tear you a new one.
Exactly.
And I don't blame them. I'd be doing it too. But I think with Fallout, you're gonna have less of a likelihood of pissing somebody off because you wrecked a character that they enjoyed.
Yeah. No, you know what? I mean, you put it that way. I think you put some great points on the table with that. And I actually feel a lot different and better about Fallout in that way, provided obviously that they essentially execute it in a way that will, execute it well, basically. I am very concerned about Mass Effect, and I have a negative context around Mass Effect being a series because I mean, I would be disappointed. So I don't think I'll be a fan that would be happy either way. And what I mean by that is I don't know if I would be happy if they didn't bring any of the main characters into the show, because I think that would do a disservice to the name of Mass Effect.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I don't know if they're going to be able to live up to my expectations of how I think those characters would be represented.
There's stories to be told in the Mass Effect universe that don't involve the main characters of the games, right? You could do like the founding of the Citadel. Well, this cycle's founding of the Citadel anyway. You could do the fall of the Protheans. You could do the rise of the what's his name? The red-eyed, the mysterious man. Suddenly blanking. Mass Effect 2 main villain, head of Cerberus.
Not Javik. I'm sorry. I'm trying to cycle through names in my head.
He's the guy who sits in the chair in front of the supernova and talks down to you the whole time. Not the one-eyed man, but he's got a name like that. He doesn't actually have a name. He's just got a title. But yeah, there's interesting people. That's gonna drive me nuts.
Yeah, I'm looking now because I'm
the elusive man. There we go.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. You could do the elusive man's rise to power, because let's not forget Cerberus existed in Mass Effect 1, but they were like a rogue terrorist group faction, like basically hippie eco terrorists, well, capitalist eco terrorists. And then suddenly in Mass Effect 2, they were like a huge contending force. Like, oh, what happened there? That's a story you could tell that was never discussed in game. And I think some of these stories have been told in like spin-off anime and like novels and things like that, because Mass Effect has some sort of extended universe.
Yeah.
But you could do one of those stories that has not been represented explicitly in game, and you could cameo characters alongside it, and it would be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, I think the part, like the characters that I feel like they shouldn't touch, but they're going to try to, and it probably is going to make it terrible. And that's, I don't think they're going to be able to, they're not going to be able to pull off Commander Shepard, in my opinion.
Oh, no. Trying to do Commander Shepard is a complete trap. First of all, Commander Shepard is supposed to literally just be a vehicle for the player. So there's, by definition, no correct way to write him as a character.
Right. And that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, you just can't. You would have to pick. If you were going to do a named character, you'd have to pick one of the ancillary characters to be the point of view of the show. Commander Shepard would not be acceptable. But from that perspective, Commander Shepard is so important to the story. How do you write him off, or how do you ignore him? That's where I get to, like, the only thing I could think of is you would have to go through one of the ancillary stories.
It's either that or it would be events after Commander Shepard, right?
After that's what Andromeda was, I think, wasn't
it? It was. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's
either that, or you have to come right out and say, all right, we are doing good guy male shepherd, go, or we're doing renegade femme shep, go, and just pick one and stick with it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, okay, so what I could see happening, and I'm just thinking, I'm going through the paces now of the different characters. I think one character they could use as a main character. I mean, it could be like you take the Miranda Lawson, like,
oh yeah,
approach.
Miranda would be fine, like as a POV,
because I think so. She, that character sort of was originally part of the, I think what you were talking about before, like those novels, right? The graphic novels, part of the Mass Effect galaxy, right? And so I think taking taking that approach, like taking somebody who was part of a linchpin of the broader universe, but was also a primary character in Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, I think, as well.
Mhm.
Might actually be a good protagonist to start a series, because then it doesn't require Commander Shepard. You can always reference Commander Shepard, right? So maybe that's like you take somebody like that. Not it doesn't have to be her, but somebody of that caliber who has some weight. Maybe that's what they do.
Liara would be another one that I would say would be a good one to do.
That's true. Yeah, I would agree. Like that's
She touches a lot of the main story without being Commander Shepard.
I think EDI definitely makes the show, because I think EDI would be or ED, some people call it ED or EDI, the AI,
Hmm.
um um artificial intelligence, like robot thing, whatever.
Although she's not really a thing until Mass Effect 2.
Right. So I guess it depends on where they decide to place the beginning of that story, right?
Hmm.
Like if it is the Miranda side of it, then ED would or EDI would be a perfect.
But even then, like even if you pick a different POV, it's still weird that Shepard's just not there, right? You have all these people walking around the
Yeah.
ship and like, hey, we're having all these stories and adventures. Who is the Shepard you speak of?
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean that's true, because I think EDI had a lot of interaction with Shepard. So yeah, I guess that's true.
I think you either pick one of the ancillary stories that don't involve Shepard, or
But then
you just grin your teeth, bear it, and pick a Shepard and go.
is that good? Like is that essentially what fans want? So this goes back to a
I think
question.
fans asked for this.
Do we need this show? That's I guess that's one of the questions we have. Like,
Do we need it? I think that's a loaded question. I don't think there's a good answer to that. We're getting it. Is it going to be good? Probably not. We don't need anything.
and in the
Can't eat art.
okay. So in the landscape of, we would love to have more content and story content. Do we need Mass Effect to continue on in that way?
Does it have the I think a better question is, does it have the potential to be good and meaningfully contribute to the culture and whatever have you? Um, I think it
I'm,
does. I think there's a very high bar that I do not trust American capitalist shitholes to reach.
okay, so I'm going to remind the audience and you about the two failed attempts to make a Doom movie.
With The Rock.
So the two failed attempts to make a Doom movie on an IP, honestly, I am I still don't understand how do you not accomplish of making a good Doom movie when it's pretty much written for you. You just have to put the freaking right butts in the seats, and they trashed both versions of the movie.
I think it goes down to interpretation, right? Like we can ask the same question about why did you make this movie out of this book when the story was written for you and the movie sucks, right? It has more to do with the type of story that you're trying to tell and whether that translates well into a different medium. Doom, I think, despite being very, very visually interesting, fails to translate well because it relies so heavily. Like, what is Doom when you boil it down as a video game? It's just nonstop gun shooty action. And that's the thing where I said before, where that trips people up when you're trying to translate it to a movie because it doesn't work outside of an interactive medium. Not really. you can have some action scenes to complement a meaningful story. But Doom is pretty much just a pull the trigger simulator. Let's be honest. Very shallow when it comes to story. Literally no characters. You want to shoot Satan? You want to kick him in the dick? You press this button to kick Satan in the dick. That's what Doom is.
Okay.
That's why they're not going to make a good movie out of it unless they go. I mean, they tried with The Rock to go full hard and lean into the fact that this is not going to be good. And if you've got the right writer behind that, you can at least have a fun, wild ride. They didn't really perform. But that's why I think with a story that has a little more character and a little bit less reliance on pure interactive action, will do better.
Yeah, and that's where, so to kind of throw a few more in here into the mix, right? As we sort of kind of go down this list and kind of round out some of this conversation, right? Is Alan Wake, I think, is a very bad idea. I don't think that translates well to a TV series.
I think you're going to run into the same problem.
Exactly. And Alan Wake is a very one-dimensional narrative character that is specifically driven based on a fear. Like it's a horror genre, but it's a first person. It's a first person view of it, and again, you kind of fall in that same trap as with Mass Effect with Shepard, is the fact that how do you take Alan Wake out of that first person so it's a third person view of the game, but the way you play it is first person. And I think like unless you do backstory. So here's a perfect example. And I know this goes back to a movie, but I love the what is the, oh my goodness, it's escaping my brain now. I had it and I lost it. The Max Payne series games, right?
Okay.
And then they make this dumbass movie with this dumbass actor in its place of Mark Wahlberg. And it was
not who I would have cast for that.
It is the worst interpretation of Max Payne in the history of video game movies, in my opinion. Worse than Mario Brothers.
Well, yeah, because the people making the movie thought there was definitely. So here's part of the issue, right? You're going to run into the same issue with video game movies for a while that people ran into with comic book movies. The people making movies, the people entrenched in Hollywood, do not read or understand comic books as a medium, and therefore cannot make a good comic book movie. Up until very recently, where a few of them hit gold, and still a lot of them are pretty awful.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to keep seeing that with video games until one or two golden nuggets really, really work, because they get the right people in who know the material really well, and they know their own craft well enough to be able to translate it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you would have thought that like Uncharted was going to be a blockbuster that made sense, and then they destroyed it. They apparently hired people, in my opinion, that had no clue how the freaking story went. And I watched begrudgingly. I watched Uncharted. I was told and I heard that it was terrible. I watched it. It's even more terrible than what I was even being told it was.
Because you have people producing these movies that are like, okay, this video game is popular. What do people know about this game? We know it has this character, and we know X, Y, and Z happens. So you got to check those boxes. Don't worry about anything else other than checking these boxes, because that's how we reach the audience. And that's how a lot of this stuff is made. That's how superhero or comic book movies were made for a long time. But even so, you ended up with a few good ones. Like I just recently watched Blade with Wesley Snipes. Fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes did not fuck around. He loved what he was doing, and he did the movie to the best of his ability to interpretation, and it showed.
Yeah,
Blade from, what was it, 98? Way better than a lot of other comic book movies I've ever seen.
Mhm.
And it was cheesy as hell because, of course, it was. It was a comic book, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And the characters were real, and I enjoyed it, and it was great. Um,
So
but you just got to get the right crew who know the material and also know how to make movies.
yeah, but so I know we pivoted to movies briefly here because I brought that into the equation. But so now I'm going to take 10 steps back and come back to that TV part of it. Because I think there's a slight parallel here that I wanted to kind of point out that I find very interesting. And that is most recently, outside of a few exceptions, like I think Sonic the Hedgehog, in my opinion, is actually not that bad. Um uh Detective Pikachu, in my opinion, surprisingly enough, I don't think is that bad. Outside of those movies that are those outliers that are not that bad, there's actually way more television shows right now that have been more successful of translation of video games. Castlevania, the Cyberpunk one. I don't know if you had an opportunity to see that,
No, I hadn't. I heard it was good though.
but it's actually, I was really impressed with what they did there. Um and a few others, right? And I also think some of the stuff that we've seen for the Last of Us TV series, surprisingly, I'm super excited about it. So here's a question, right? And this kind of goes back to some of the questions that I had and kind of just rounding us out, right? Is video game TV shows or video TV shows based on video games. Do we need them? Why do we have them? Should we actually make these things? Like, should they make? Does it make sense to make them? And I almost wonder if the trends are showing that video games in bite-sized chunks, like in TV show format, do better because they don't have to design to a narrative for a 2 hour adventure or 2.5 hour adventure or something that needs to be a specific length. Therefore, they have more freedom to break down their story arcs and their acts into smaller chunks.
Yes. The other thing, kind of on a similar note, that TV shows really lets you do more so than movies, is to more deeply explore the characters and their stories and their motivations. You can let all that breathe. And as I keep reiterating, the video games that are going to lend themselves the best to being made into a movie or a TV show are the ones that are far more character focused and narrative driven rather than just pure action. But in order to make that work, you really have to be able to let that, you have to set it up in the right pace and you got to let the stories breathe. And TV show is just going to be a better format for that, I think. Um,
Yeah.
Kind of like, so I'm a huge Stephen King fan.
Mhm.
I don't know if I've said that before, but a lot of Stephen King movies, garbage. Partially because nobody really understands his work, but also partially because it's the medium thing, right? The way Stephen King writes is very, very almost entirely character driven. He will write stories with just an idea for a character that he has no fucking idea what the story's even going to be. He just know he has to write this character, and it's all from inside their head, and that just doesn't translate to a movie that only gives you an hour and a half to get to know this person.
Exactly. And that, like, to me, a Stephen King movie, just like the movie It, needs to be, well, not exactly like it, but a Stephen King book needs to be 10 hour. It needs to be a 10-hour movie if it's going to be a movie. It
Yes.
can't. It can't be just an hour and a half or 2 hour movie.
Hmm.
So to that point, I agree. Yeah.
I think you're going to see a similar thing with video games where because of the
Mm.
types of stories that are going to translate well are going to need attention and time to breathe.
Okay. So let's quickly. I'm going to run down this list, and we're going to give an answer. We're gonna give an answer of, does it work? Yes, or does it work? No. And I'm just gonna give you a list, and we're just gonna go boom, boom, boom. You
I'm
ready?
gonna be honest. I only know about half of these.
That's okay. You could say I don't know, and we'll just move on. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Tekken.
Fuck no. You know what though? Hold on. It's gonna be a god awful movie. But there's gonna be a subsect of people who love it, just like the Mortal Kombat stuff.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cheesy and over the top, and they need to lean into that, and it'll do fine. It'll be terrible, and it'll do fine.
And I say also, no, that's just not going to work.
I need to see my leopard cheetah man wearing pants beat somebody up.
Shenmue. Do you know that one?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's fine. We'll skip it. I don't think it's going to work either. Watch Dogs.
The game wasn't even good. There's a story to be told there, but it's not gonna. The game wasn't good. The movie's not gonna be good.
No, these are all TV shows.
Oh, all TV shows.
Yeah.
Watch Dogs lends itself well to a TV show, but again, they're like I said, the original game sucked, so I don't know what they're gonna do with it. It's just gonna be another cyberpunk thing.
Yeah, I do think it. I dare to say this, and I'm gonna say it anyways on air, but I think the Watch Dogs TV show could potentially be better than what the video games were able to do.
Yeah, there's such a low bar there. Like they can't fuck it up, right? Like,
right. Alan Wake.
I think we've already decided it's not going to be good.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be good. Do you know Child of Light? No, right?
That's another one I didn't know.
All right, we'll skip that one. Disco Elysium.
It's got potential.
Really? Okay.
As a TV show, not as a movie.
No.
Awful movie.
These are all
as
TV
a TV show, or just even like a mini series, like 5 to 8 60-minute episodes. You could do something really cool with Disco Elysium.
All right. I'm undecided. I want to see what it's all about. I'm undecided.
Or just go rent Reanimator. Does anybody rent movies anymore?
Rent what? What's rent?
Well, you see, you go to the Blockbuster.
Block. Oh, I go down to the block.
You go down to the, or I think
busted?
Netflix still delivers DVDs.
Who am I busting?
Anyway, Disco Elysium has potential, but I have my doubts.
Mass Effect. We talked about it, but
we talked that one to death. There's no good way to do it that addresses all the fans.
Twisted Metal.
Again, I think if you lean in to the ridiculousness of the whole thing, you can have something that's just hilarious and bad for people who just want to have a good time. Twisted Metal is fantastically ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I think if they lean into it, I think it could be good. If they try to be serious with it, I think it's going to be garbage.
No, Twisted Metal didn't take itself seriously. The people making the TV show shouldn't either.
Exactly. Last of Us.
The movie was bad. Oh no, that was Uncharted.
Yeah.
I think it's a bad time for The Last of Us.
Fair enough.
I think you could have a good Last of Us series if we hadn't just had a decade of The Walking Dead. Like, there's no story left to tell. It's just, oh, there's a girl on The Walking Dead now. Oh no, this is a different show. Well, no, it isn't. Yeah, see, the zombies are made of trees. Oh.
Oh man. Do you know Life is Strange?
I'm vaguely familiar with it. I never played it, but it's like it's a teenage soap opera of a video game.
I think it works.
Yeah, it'll be fine. You know, like Sands Through the Hourglass. These are the days of our lives.
Right. A Plague Tale?
That one I don't know.
Okay, we'll skip it. Brother in Arms?
I don't know anything about that game. I just assume it's just a really generic shooter, military shooter.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I'm not 100% sure why this is even a thing. I'll be honest with you.
I've seen We Were Soldiers. What else is there?
I,
I've
yeah,
seen
I
Full
mean,
Metal Jacket, seen Saving Private Ryan, seen Predator.
we've had a Halo spin-off. We've had
That was not a great show either.
no, it's not. Brother in Arms, I also consider very similar to like Saving Private Ryan, which do we need a Saving Private Ryan TV
It's been
show?
done. It's been done to death.
Right. So I just feel like
Um,
it's nothing new, and I don't know if they can improve on the formula other than
Now,
it's part of the game.
what time period does Brother in Arms take place? Because if it's a World War II shooter, it's already oversaturated. We
It
don't need
is
another World War II
no,
story.
yeah, Brother in Arms is World War II.
Okay, then I don't care. I kind of don't
But
care.
however, it's a different POV because the backdrop is from like the Western Europe part of it. So it is a slightly different POV than what we've seen in the past. However, it's
Like a British French
yeah,
POV.
yeah.
Okay, that at least in the States that hasn't really been done. If it's done well, I would be interested in that.
Okay.
I would be
Uh,
way more interested though, and I hope we get more of this coming soon, is stuff more about like the Iraq War or things like what was that game? There was a video game that was produced by one of the SEAL teams or something that was like they were in a specific battle. I think extra credits did a video about this. There was a SEAL team that was in a particular battle in one of the Middle Eastern wars where a bunch of civilians died because bad decisions were made, and they were like, this is terrible. This story is awful. We feel bad about it. We want to tell this story as like a cautionary tale. And so they made a video game of it. And then everyone got up in arms about, oh, this isn't respecting whatever. And the video game got pulled. Like, you could make that into a movie. That would be interesting.
I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
Extra credits had an episode about it. I couldn't tell you the name of the video game anymore.
Well, we'll come back to that. We'll talk about it. We'll look that up. All right, Fallout.
I think there's a way you can do it. I think that they're not going to do it well. Nobody's going to know how to do it in a way that works. That's going to be the issue with Fallout. Um, but I've seen some. You ever seen Nuka Break? It was a fan made series on
Yes.
YouTube. That was
Yeah.
fun. I
That was-
enjoyed that.
That was really good.
I liked Nuka Break. I just do Nuka Break the TV show, and there won't be a problem.
I think if they take Fallout the TV show and bring it forward for the origins of Fallout, I think it has opportunity to be something that people will grow into. I
Mhm.
think if we take it from Fault 100 something and beyond Fallout 50, where we have a lot of good information on what's going on because of the games,
Mhm.
then I feel like it's just a repeat of everything that we already know.
I think you really have to lean into the Mad Max influences
Yes.
for
Yes.
Fallout because it walks this very tender line between wacky and harrowing.
Yeah.
And you go too far on either side and it's not going to work.
Exactly.
You got to be Road Warrior with it. You got to be Thunderdome with it or it's just not going to work. It's going to come off as trying too hard or
Yep.
come off as not respecting its own source material.
Very much agree. All right. Final Fantasy.
I don't know enough about Final Fantasy to know what they would do for a story. I know there's a bajillion games. I don't know that Square Enix respects Final Fantasy all that much from a story perspective. I don't know that there would be a huge expectation for it. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think if they take a an approach like they did with, but get strike a balance between Western and Western audiences and the root of Final Fantasy, and be like, so the Advent Children movie that came out I think was really close. It came really close of being great, but it lacked Western appeal. And I understand why, because it was not actually created for Western audiences.
But Final Fantasy is weird. They've got some really weird story elements, which is
Exactly.
cool. I mean, you tell the story you want to tell, go for it. But yeah, America's not going to get it.
Well, but so here was the thing, right? Is the original Final Fantasy movie that came out in 1997 was too Western. Like it geared itself way too much to the Western audience, right? and so what they need to do is they need to figure out that balance between Advent Children and the original Final Fantasy movie. If they can actually marry the two to provide a Adventure Children style ARPG action show, but have a kind of tailor itself to a Western audience to play both sides of it, I think it'll be great. If they go one side of the spectrum or the other side of the spectrum, it's just going to fail.
It can be done. I know it can be done because Alita Battle Angel was a decent movie.
Yeah, so is Ghost in the Shell.
So with fucking what's her name? Black Widow.
So
that was not a good movie.
it was better than what we've gotten in previously, right?
Okay, so, I guess.
And
I'm just familiar with the actual, the original Japanese anime movie.
Yeah, and me personally, like I've watched the original Ghost in the Shell at least 50 times. It's probably my favorite. I mean, Ghost in the Shell is by far my favorite OG like anime for those types of movies, right? And I actually really appreciated what they did with Scarlett Johansson's Ghost in the Shell, right? Nobody has done anything like that to be able to appeal. It struck a balance between Western audience and sticking to its roots. I understand a lot of the reservations that a lot of the the Western audiences felt like, because they wanted it more to be like OG, right? Like to be like the original Ghost in the Shell, and it wasn't that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the balance they struck is the balance that I'm looking for in that in Final Fantasy is like, I don't like Advent Children. People just didn't get it. And so then it didn't find its audience.
I would much rather a show commit to its source material and have people not understand it than to compromise and not tell a good story.
Yeah, I guess so. I just the problem with the origin and how some of these stories are put together, are not okay. And this is the industry part of the business that sucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the Advent Children did not do well and did not make a ton of money and didn't make the money that it got and didn't get any subsequent additional releases of that type because the Western audience didn't intake it. So what happens then is if nobody buys it, nobody watches it, they're not going to do it again. And it'll be the same thing with a TV show that, yes, will you have your core niche audience that'll watch it, but then it'll just be around for one season. I think what has to happen is you got to find that balance between the two, that you can appease the core audience while being able to keep that engine going to pay people to do the show. It's a tough balance. It's hard. It's not easy.
It's definitely harder for properties like Ghost in the Shell, which are like, I don't want to say inaccessible because it maybe at the time it was made, it was kind of inaccessible. These days, like, oh, what is consciousness? That's such a layman's approach to sci-fi.
Right.
I'm actually rather unimpressed with Ghost in the Shell as a whole, honestly, because I didn't see it until I was 20, and I'm like, oh, what is consciousness? Every other sci-fi I've ever seen has dealt with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little bit, I guess, for the time, a little lofty, a little inaccessible. I get that they had to change it for mass appeal, but man, do I hate it when they change things for mass appeal.
Yeah, I mean it's and that goes to the concept of movie versus TV, right? Because how do you strike that? It's all about balance. It's all about balance, and that's where I think some of these are going to fail. I want Final Fantasy to work. I still think it's going to fail, sadly, just because it's a weird niche genre, just like Ghost in the Shell, that is going to not have enough mass appeal to generate the revenue that it needs, unless like Netflix says, you know what, we're just going to stick with it. Like Castlevania, like in the beginning, it didn't catch on fire at all until season 2.
Really? I
Yeah.
loved Castlevania.
Oh yeah,
Even the first season. It's fantastic.
same here.
And I don't think it's that inaccessible. It's pretty, I mean, it's vampire hunters, right? That's a pretty Western.
But people didn't understand what Castlevania was, that have never, like, the late 40s, 50s generation, just that cusp of people who didn't play Castlevania. And what I mean by, like 40, like 47 plus, right?
No, but like, if you didn't play Castlevania, you've at least read like Bram Stoker's Dracula, right? But, or is that an intersection of media that only I have experienced?
Well, I mean, I've experienced it just because like that's something I'm interested in, but not so a video game like Castlevania, the video game, compared to the movie is a very much like Castlevania 1, right? There's story behind it, but really it's just like you're whipping a chain and hitting shit, right? Like that's what it is. It's not until like Castlevania 2 and 3 is when we started really getting some really good backstory embedded in and woven into the game.
Now, I will say I haven't really played any of the Castlevania games.
Okay.
I have to be honest with that.
So then there you go. So I guess my point is, for people who have, I think you're the age, the demographic that can intake that with no issue, but once we hit the 50s mark of where we are today, it becomes a little bit harder. But there's been there's like some like statistics that came out with Castlevania that their demo is 18 to 60 right now, which is fantastic if you think about that.
I think there's a great overlap of people. Vampire stories have been around for long enough that like it's a huge demographic for it.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Moving on. God of War.
I think it's too actiony. I don't think it's going to translate well.
I agree. I think it's going to be bad.
It's going to be a loud, obnoxious, CGI driven mess.
Horizon 2074.
It's going to try to be Jurassic Park and it's going to fail at it.
I disagree. I think it's going to be fantastic. Because
well, you love Horizon.
I do. And I think with Guerrilla Games being involved from a creative standpoint, I think it has potential to have that creative oversight that I think it needs from a story perspective. And it is not going it. So apparently, and I this is not confirmed yet, but apparently this is not going to focus on Aloy as the main protagonist.
That might help it.
So we'll see, but that's kind of the thing.
I don't know. I think of Horizon Zero Dawn, the movie or TV show, and what jumps into my head is Terminator Genesis.
Oh no, I hope not.
I hope not either. For its own sake. But that's it's gonna be that.
My friend Pedro.
I briefly looked at this game because I had no idea what it was. And now that I've seen it, if it's anything other than a hyper violent, amazing world of Gumball, I will be disappointed.
I feel like this is a weird thing to make in a TV show, and we'll see how it goes. I'm undecided on it. I'm going to skip over Pokemon because I think just about anything
that's been a TV series since
Yeah.
the 90s.
Yeah. Skull and Bones.
I assume it's pirate themed. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, so Assassin's Creed. It's an Assassin's Creed based story of pirates and ships.
Oh, all right. You have a very, very broad, real world existing story that you could tell. It doesn't matter a character. It'll be fine. It's just be generic pirate shit.
I think they're gonna fuck it up. I think they're just gonna destroy it.
They might just not have enough direction to do it correctly, because it'll be like, what's the difference between this and any other pirate themed thing? And Johnny Depp's not in it, so why am I watching it? Why is the rum gone?
Exactly. I'm gonna skip Sonic the Hedgehog, and
They've been a cartoon series for as long as they've existed.
Yeah. And then Vampire.
I want to say I know Vampire, but I can't say I do. Is this just more Bram Stoker inspired shit?
I mean, it is. It is a what I'd say is a what is the best way to explain this game? So, I mean, it's an action RPG, which is weird to me for a vampire game. However, it heavily leans into what Vampire the Masquerade built back in the 90s, right? From a story base, but at a lesser execution value. I think it's worse than the original Vampire the Masquerade.
Almost kind of seems Lovecraftian in a way from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean I mean I think of it as like if we think about it as modern day, I mean it's Assassin's Creed and with Vampire World. Basically.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. I'm not familiar enough with the game, but I don't know how that's going to translate really well.
I mean, the Assassin's Creed movies did not do well. I think they're very bad. And
Yeah.
and so that's why I think Vampire if it takes a literal translation of the game, right? Just like Assassin's Creed did, I think it's going to be garbage. If they turn it upside down and turn it more of a narrative story and captivate audiences with story, like think about it this way, the Hitman movies.
I never saw those.
So the Hitman movies were a oddity with a translation from video game to a movie that was a third person shooter. It was an oddity because what they did was they turned it upside down and truly just made it more narrative and didn't really care about the first person shooter side of the game, right? Yes, was there action pieces to it? Absolutely. But what they did was they focused more narrative. I think if this does that, I think it could be successful because vampires just sell, right?
They do.
This is a type of genre that sells well if done in a way that people will get attached to.
Yeah. And give credit where credit's due for the Hitman thing. They probably just took the existing games and expanded upon it. Part of what you should do if you're trying to justify translating to a new medium is add something meaningful.
Yeah.
Like give a reason why you're translating it to begin with. What are you adding to the story by taking it out of its native medium?
All right. Bonus question before we close us out.
Uh-huh.
TV or movie based on a video game. What is your favorite and why?
Favorite existing one?
Yep.
Hmm. Trying to think, what have I even seen? I just kind of tend to avoid TV and video game movies, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
What have I even seen that I would say I even liked or disliked? I saw like 20 minutes of the Assassin's Creed movie and thought it was garbage, but that's not the question. I guess it must just be Castlevania. That's fantastic. Um, does that count as a good answer if I've never played the Castlevania games? I don't know. But I thought the anime was great.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Knowing a medium, it doesn't matter if you played it, right? In my opinion, it's more about the translation of the idea of that particular IP
Hmm.
into a narrative perspective. I think to me, that's where my question is rooted.
Yeah. Which I think Castlevania definitely respects its IP.
What about your worst that you've seen?
Worst? Oh, I've seen the problem is the ones that are bad I never finished. So like I saw bits and pieces of Doom with The Rock, saw bits and pieces of Assassin's Creed. Both of those were awful. Um, does does uh um does Pixels with Adam Sandler count as a video game movie? Because that was pretty fucking bad.
Technically, no, because it's a conglomerate of video games and not based on a video game.
Mortal Kombat was a pretty bad movie.
Which one?
Oh man, I guess there's multiple. I think whatever the first one was the one that I saw.
No. Ah, that's the best one in my opinion.
I guess it might be the only one I've seen. If they've only gotten worse, I'm very sad for them.
No. no, I mean a lot of people do not. They very much dislike the original Mortal Kombat. And I understand why.
Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie. That was
Oh,
bad.
that was
That was
absolutely
bad.
bad. That was absolutely
However, the more recent one that was made with the actress whose name I can't remember, uh, I didn't hate that one.
yeah, so that is Alicia Van Vikander, but Vikander. I don't know how to pronounce that last name.
They
Uh,
treated the character like a character and not just a piece of eye candy, which was pretty great.
so I guess I'll transition to mine because you just said it. My favorite translation right now is that Tomb Raider movie, and they're coming out with a sequel too.
Ah,
Um, it is probably the dark horse of any of the video game stuff that sort of just kind of floated under the radar because it wasn't this massive, gigantic, big budget studio release, right? But the actress that they chose, I mean, she's won an Oscar, right? Like she's an Oscar winning actress. Like she is a freaking legit actress. And the work that they did on that, and the writing they did on that, and what I very much appreciate is the fact that they went back to the roots of what Tomb Raider really was in the beginning, right?
hmm.
They went back to what built Indiana Jones. Tomb Raider was the foundation of Indiana Jones on how sort of that character was perceived and not this gun toting big boobed woman, right? It was more of an adventurer, more somebody who really tried to be this puzzle master of trying to figure out where to be explorative. And I think that's what that Tomb Raider movie did. and by far, in my opinion, has been the biggest movie that came out that was not a blockbuster that blew everything else out of the water.
No, I think people forgot about it really quickly.
Yeah.
I did until recently. I saw it on a flight, I think. It was just happened to be playing, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it watching all the way through.
I'm going to tell you the worst, The Witcher.
Oh, I never saw the TV show, or was there a movie?
Yeah, the TV show, the Netflix show that came out, The Witcher.
I tried. I watched like 2 episodes of it, and it just was blasé. I was very disappointed.
And you know why? And this we kind of touched on this earlier with Mass Effect, but it's because they focused on the protagonist from the game, Geralt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't if the problem that some of these shows run into is if you try to mimic and mirror the protagonist of the game, you need to either be straight 1-to-1 faithful and make sure you pull it off right, or it's not going to work.
Yeah, you do.
That's the problem, right? That is the trap that you fall into with these sort of kind of narrative games. And if I feel like if the actor that they choose doesn't pull it off, you're screwed. It's over.
Yep.
If people don't buy into it, you're screwed. People don't watch it. And it failed. It failed miserably. I know I think it got 2 seasons.
Oh, well, that's right. It had a second season, didn't it?
Yeah. And I still I very much disliked it. And I'm a huge fan of the Witcher series. I got introduced to the Witcher series at Witcher 3, and I went back and I bought Witcher 1 and 2 to just play it because I wanted to. That's how invested I got into the Witcher. The Witcher, the series, piece of garbage.
You know what other movie I forgot existed? It was the Silent Hill movie.
Oh.
That was bad.
We started the show with Silent Hill, and we're going to end with Silent Hill. That was absolutely horrible.
Nobody does Silent Hill correctly. Not even Silent Hill.
Not even Silent Hill. And it's funny you bring that up because I have actually forgotten about that.
It's bad.
It is the worst.
Now, granted, the original story for the first game was wild. What is happening in that story? It's like, oh, this is a metaphor until the end when it's literally not a metaphor.
But that was the genius about it. That's the thing that I think that just never resonated with other people when you translate that to a different medium.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of just cap this off, we started with Silent Hill. We ended with Silent Hill. But what I'm also going to end with is the fact that with any of these shows that we have now talked about and we touched on, if they cannot either separate themselves from the medium that they're on and create and design a better way to present it to an audience, none of them are going to succeed. I mean,
it's so difficult to take an interactive story and make it uninteractive.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think the biggest challenge that some of these shows are going to face. And we'll see in the next year or so. I'd love for us to revisit and take a look at this, because if I told you a year ago about what I thought about The Witcher, I was excited about it. And
Henry Cavill's a fine actor.
Yeah. But it was a piece of garbage. Thanks for listening to our most recent episode of Uneducated Gamers. You can go to Galaxy Game TV to post comments on each of our episodes, or if you have a question or a topic you would like us to include in an episode, feel free to leave a comment. Until next week, we bid you farewell.